In 1977, beams of light from the night sky began punching holes in people. For 3 months, in the small fishing town of Colares, on a remote island in the Brazilian Amazon, the night sky stopped being safe. Objects came in low, hovering over palm-thatched houses, their undersides aimed downward. And then, without warning, they fired. Focused beams of light that struck specific human targets through walls, through roofs, through closed windows. People who were hit collapsed instantly. Some lost consciousness. Some were lifted slightly off the ground, and every one of them, when they recovered, found the same marks on their skin. Small, circular puncture wounds in pairs, surrounded by burns that no doctor in the town had ever seen before. The locals gave the things a name: Chupa Chupa, the suckers, because every victim after the beam said the same thing, that something was being pulled out of them. Energy, heat, blood, something. The Brazilian Air Force took it seriously enough to send in soldiers. What they found was so disturbing that the entire investigation was classified for 27 years. The man who led it gave a deathbed interview before he died, and what he said is one of the most remarkable accounts of direct UFO contact ever recorded by a military officer. This is what happened in Colares in 1977, and what the Brazilian government is now officially admitting they cannot explain. The wave began in mid-September. The first reports came from fishermen returning to the island at dusk. They described silent objects above the water, some shaped like cigars 2 stories long, some shaped like upside-down plates with circular openings on the underside, some disc-shaped with rings of orange-red lights spinning at the rim. The objects moved in ways no aircraft of 1977 could move. They stopped dead in the air. They reversed direction without turning. They descended slowly, sometimes within meters of the water, and then they hunted. That word, hunted, is the one most witnesses use, because the beams were not random. They were aimed. A beam would lock onto a specific person, often through the wall of a hut, and stay locked on for 10 or 15 seconds while that person convulsed and could not move. Witnesses describe a focused column of light, milky white or orange-yellow, perhaps 30 centimeters wide, falling on a single human body and holding there. The injuries were specific and consistent. 2 small circular punctures side by side, often on the chest, often on the neck. The skin around the punctures discolored and burned outward in a circular pattern, as if it had been heated from below. Within hours, victims developed weakness, anemia, and in many cases hair loss along the affected area. The doctor at the local clinic, who treated dozens of victims, gave detailed testimony years later. She said the wounds did not match any injury she had ever seen in her medical career, and that the radiation pattern was localized in a way that no natural source could produce. By the end of October, at least 35 people had been seriously injured. Local accounts hold that 2 had died. The fishing community had stopped sleeping. People moved their families inland. Bonfires were lit on the beach to scare the things away. They did not work.
The Brazilian Air Force called it Operação Prato, Operation Plate.
In late September of 1977, a classified military team was dispatched to Colares under the command of Captain Uyrangue Holanda. Their mission was direct: investigate the reports, document what was happening, identify the craft, and stop the attacks if possible. They came with cameras. They came with radar equipment. They came with medical personnel. They came with orders to find out what was hunting Brazilian citizens from the sky. For months, Captain Holanda's team lived among the fishermen. They photographed the objects on dozens of nights. They filmed the beams. They interviewed every victim. They corroborated what the village doctor had said. These were real, structured craft of unknown origin, doing real harm to human beings, and the Brazilian military had no idea what they were or how to stop them. The final report ran to several hundred pages, hundreds of photographs, sketches, witness statements, medical records. The conclusion was that the phenomenon was real, the craft were real, the injuries were real, and the source was unidentified. The report was sealed. The team was ordered into silence. For the next 20 years, Captain Holanda kept that silence. Then, in early 1997, he gave one interview. He sat down with a Brazilian UFO researcher and spoke for several hours. He described what his team had seen: the craft, the beams, the injured villagers, the photographs they had taken with their own military cameras. He described one night when his team had been close enough to a hovering object to see beings visible through openings in the underside of the craft. He did not say what those beings looked like in detail. He said only that they were there. He described the psychological weight of the 20 years of silence. He said the experience had broken him in ways he had not been able to repair. He said the orders to keep quiet had followed him out of the military and into civilian life. He said he had wanted to tell the truth for years, but he had been afraid. A few weeks after the interview, Captain Holanda was found dead. The death was officially ruled a suicide. Researchers have noted the timing. 7 years later, in 2004, the Brazilian government partially declassified the Operação Prato files. Hundreds of pages of reports, photographs, and sketches were released to the public. They confirmed the civilian accounts. They confirmed the military investigation. They confirmed that the Brazilian armed forces had observed, documented, and been unable to explain anomalous craft that physically harmed citizens of their own country in 1977. The Colares incident now sits in a small category of UFO events that governments officially admit happened. The list is short. There is Roswell, which the US government still officially calls a weather balloon. There is the 2004 Nimitz Tic Tac, which the US Navy now confirms is real but cannot identify. And there is Colares, which the Brazilian Air Force has in part declassified. What the Chupa Chupa were, why they targeted the people of Colares, what was being pulled from those bodies through pairs of small circular wounds, none of that is known. The fishing community on the island still carries the memory. People still point at the sky and tell their grandchildren about the months in 1977 when the night was the most dangerous place to be. What do you think happened over Colares in 1977? Real craft of unknown origin or something else? Drop your answer in the comments.